We go from Penny Lane to Penny Payne and Keri Abernathy. Not by any. Have you ever heard that before? As far as is that song familiar with you?
Absolutely.
When we last left you, let me get for the folks who just joined us. Keri is the fourth vice president and director of Region 9 for the National Federation of Republican Women, and of course Penny Payne, previous guest on our show many times, president of Mississippi Federation for Republican Women. The question I posed is, give us some good news as far as the ground game. What are you hearing on the ground, and do we have enough people there to handle this in November?
Well, we have 1,500 members across the state of Mississippi, 40 clubs, and all of our members are very excited and working hard to get President Trump reelected. We are mobilizing. We are certainly working with our state GOP and our local county executive committees, working together to get the job done. We are certainly not taking anything for granted.
Yeah.
Even though we're a red state, we know that we have to continue to work hard and to continue to educate the voters. Because even listening to your last segment, people don't know who Kamala Harris really is or the danger that she poses to America.
Keri, when you talk to people, and I know you guys have been doing this for a while, do you think there's more concern about this election? There should be, but does it feel like there really is that concern is making it to the ground, to the grassroots level?
Absolutely. Kamala Harris is definitely, that the media is fawning over her. She's becoming very popular, and she's that fresh face. People, again, don't really know who she is or what threat she poses. And, it's very concerning. We have to educate these voters and make sure that they realize that there is a stark difference between these candidates. And people are very excited and are very optimistic about President Trump, but absolutely, there is some concern. And we realize we have to keep that ground game going, and we have to inform these voters.
I've said this, it's kind of a continuing theme over the last several weeks, is when we were young, be in a crowd and maybe there's a drunk guy there and his pants slips down or something, and your parents would put their hands over your eyes and tell you, pretend you just didn't see that. And I use that theme from this election, what's going on now, because it seems the same thing they're asking us to do this. Pretend you didn't see this. That yesterday, she was ridiculed, she was buffooned, she was made fun of by even the mainstream media. This woman is vacuous. She doesn't know anything. My God, get somebody else in there. Then all of a sudden she's elevated to that position without one single vote, and she is the new Messiah. Just pretend you didn't see that.
Absolutely. And it's so funny. She talks about, I'm going to fix the border when I'm president.
Yeah.
Do it now. Why are we waiting? Show us what you can do if you're really going to do this.
Well, everything is one of the reasons that she doesn't want to, I think, go out and talk to the public, because she's got a paper trail there. There is a theme, I haven't had a chance to get to it this morning, but she's taking credit for all of the great successes in the Biden administration. And one of the things she's taken credit for was Afghanistan. And I don't know if guys are looking at the news, but the Taliban have a parade, that their 4th of July parade, I think it is, and they're parading with all of the equipment that we left behind. Even people like Stephen A. Smith and Vivek Ramaswamy are saying, you got to come out there, and you got to get before a microphone, and you got to explain yourself.
Joe Biden stepped aside on July 21st. The only damn place we've seen Kamala Harris is at pep rally. Somebody got to say something. And it can't just be the conservatives. Right is right. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. You can't be running for the presidency of the United States. Not one single press conference, not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask.
Wow.
That's not fair.
She hasn't sat down for one media interview of a hard-pressing one-on-one variety yet. And she's actually the leading candidate now in many of the polls for U.S. president. So I just think we deserve a country where the people are willing to show up.
Keri, and also Penny, I don't think this is by happenstance. I mean, I think she's tremendously controlled, and they understand, don't put this woman before a microphone. Keri?
Keri, he's asking you a question that Keri can't hear.
Oh, she can't hear again. Okay, well, let me ask you that question then. Can you, that's all right. How about now? Can you hear me now? All right.
Hey.
Yep.
Paul, hey.
Can you hear me now?
Hey.
Yep.
Yes.
Telephones are amazing things, aren't they?
They are amazing.
I was just asking, do you think this is by happenstance? Is it by a coincidence, or are they absolutely positively trying to keep her away from the microphone as far as answering any questions?
Oh, there is no doubt. This is very orchestrated. It worked for Biden, so why not roll VP Harris out in the same manner? The longer that they can keep her from press interviews, from media, the better chance that they know that they have of running the numbers up in the poll. But, you know, my advice, especially to the Trump campaign and those out there, keep pressing her to do an interview, because if we can get her to answer some of these questions that we have, more of the American people will know what her policies are. Yeah. But I'll also say she has a very vast a policy stance out there that, you know, just go out on the internet and look at any of it, and you will know how she feels about the border, how she feels about ICE, and let's take her word for it. Let's take her word for it. There is a stark contrast in this election, and her record is out there, whether it was the attorney in California or even is a lackluster VP. Her record is out there.
I can't even imagine this woman as commander-in-chief.
President Trump, the former president, said is the most embarrassing moment in the history of the U.S. military, and maybe for the U.S. government. Kamala Harris was asked about what her decision-making power was within the administration. This is what she said.
Afghanistan. Yes. Were you the last person in the room? Yes. And you feel comfortable? I do. This is a president who has an extraordinary amount of courage.
How will she explain her role on this?
Well, she said she was the last one in the room talking to President Biden. That meant she had the last say in what was happening, either agree or disagree with it going forward. When we were handling the Afghanistan, President Trump picked up the phone and called Mullah Berardi, who was the chief of the Taliban at the time. And I was in the Oval Office at the time when he did it. And it had to be translated. And I remember listening to this going, how is this being translated? Because he was basically telling him what he was going to do if he violated. Right. After that call, not a single American was killed in Afghanistan for the entire year. And we set up a conditions-based agreement. In fact, President Trump got Berardi out of a Pakistani jail. What you saw happen in Afghanistan was never going to happen on our watch, because we set the conditions-based agreement. Until you have this joint agreement, we're not going to withdraw our troops. We're not going to leave Bagram Air Base. And Trump was very, very clear with this. She would have gone, what they did is they just walked away from the deal. They walked away from Afghanistan. And because of that, 13 great Americans lost their lives.